Jimmy Vampiati glanced around his bedroom, looking for his favorite robe, eager to join the overnight guest who was waiting for him in the shower. Morning sunlight beamed through the tall windows and reflected off the red walls, giving the room a crimson glow. Masterpiece paintings from the last 3 centuries hung against the Victorian style wallpaper that stretched to the high ceiling. A blood red comforter blanketed an oversized bed with jet black sheets made from the finest Chinese silk imported from Beijing. The design was modern yet ancient like himself. He spotted the robe near the headboard, black tufted velvet that stretched halfway up the wall, and grabbed the silky fabric. Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, first movement, filled the room as he hurried across the black Persian carpet. Off to the side, a hall led to where the shower was running, releasing steam that crept up the walls, generating the illusion of red mist. Rare silver black marble covered the bathroom floor and the bottom half of the walls. Mirrors filled the top half, and a massive custom shower made of glass took up half the room. Through the transparent barrier, a woman with shoulder length blonde hair stood under the cascading water, her bikini lines visible as she leaned against the glass. Jimmy stepped in and nuzzled the nape of her neck. She moaned with delight at the touch of his lips. His tender stroking of her breast caused her body to react as he pressed her against the glass, his hips moving in rhythm with hers. Suddenly, her entire body tensed as she let out a long gasp, her limbs shuddering with pleasure. Once she'd finished, Jimmy stepped back, releasing his embrace. He smiled at the sight of his body in the mirror, tall and lean, with long black hair dangling to the middle of his back. He still looked 36, even though he had lived more than 5 lifetimes. He turned, pointed his face up, and let the warm water flow over his chest, which was just enough hair to give it a little extra dark tint to his bronze skin. After a moment, he stepped out and pulled on his robe. Stay here as long as you want. When you've dried off, I'll have a cappuccino waiting for you in the kitchen. The woman didn't reply, still trying to catch her breath. Jimmy walked over to the sink and turned on the hot water. His back revealed a stylized V-shaped tattoo, starting at his shoulder blades, wrapping around his ribs, and ending at the bottom of his back. He shaved and detangled his hair, then padded to the bedroom. He flopped on his bed face up, closed his eyes, and smiled, taking in the music and the afterglow of the refreshing shower, good night's sleep, and previous evening's activities. Today marked a significant event for the family. A new coven was finally joining the fold after almost 70 years. The successful persuasion of the other covens had come through skillful negotiations and the ability to present opportunities beneficial to all parties involved. It was what he did best. After day, freedom to explore new possibilities for both the family and the broader organization would return. The prospect was exciting. This role as the family's strong arm had grown tiresome. He took a deep cleansing breath, got up, and made his way towards the expansive walk-in closet. The soft glow of recessed LED lights illuminated the numerous glass cabinets, showcasing an array of garments. Among the collection were black suits, shirts, long coats, and ties with occasional hints of vibrant red. Positioned at the center was a sleek glass-top island, adorned with drawers brimming with an assortment of watches, cufflinks, gold necklaces, diamond rings, ancient coins, and pendants. Jimmy reached for a black Armani suit with a hint of gray pinstriping and a blood red shirt with long tapered collars. For accessory, he chose silver cufflinks and a delicate chain with a drooping heart-shaped white gold pendant cradling a 2-carat diamond. He laid everything out on top of the island. With his robe still wrapped around him, he moved on to the kitchen. His first destination was his Nuova Semolina espresso machine, which he promptly activated. Following that, he opened the Sub-Zero refrigerator stocked with pints filled with a thick red liquid, all labeled Type A. Selecting one, he downed it quickly. After disposing of the empty bottle in a hazmat container, he prepared a triple espresso for himself and a double cappuccino for his visitor. As he sipped his coffee, he turned on the 85-inch OLED flat screen and turned to the latest stock market reports. The news commentators swiftly transitioned to discussing the recent interference in the election process, capturing Jimmy's attention. With a smile, he set the cup down, fully aware that most Americans were oblivious to the true puppeteers behind the international community for centuries. This election, like countless others since Teddy Roosevelt's time, had been influenced by various external and internal forces. Jimmy, known as Jimmy Vampiro within government circles, had been intimately involved with all of them, tracing back to the days of Grant. Those were tumultuous times, marked by bitterness and conflict, as the war's impact lingered in American society. And then there was Lincoln, one of Jimmy's most guarded secrets. The world remained oblivious to what transpired and how the Vampiros played a critical role in the end. Since that fateful day, Jimmy had gleaned invaluable wisdom from Lincoln's teachings. As he picked up his espresso, his overnight guest joined him. She wore a towel wrapped around her waist and was barefoot and bare breasted. Must you leave so soon? She spoke with an air of innocence, begging for his attention. Jimmy turned, lifted her, and set her on the large center island. He let his robe drop to the floor. I have a few more minutes to spare, Jimmy said. He slowly peeled the towel away from her waist and pulled her to the counter edge. She wrapped her legs around his hips as he nibbled at her ear and kissed her neck. I think the family will understand if I'm a bit late, he whispered. After all, my mother insists that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. An hour later, Jimmy stepped into his expansive 8-car garage where he faced the challenging task of selecting which vehicle to take for the day. Among the 5 stunning automobiles parked inside included a sleek black Lamborghini Aventador, a black Dodge Viper, a Mars red McLaren Mercedes SLR Roadster, a sophisticated black Bentley Continental, and a vibrant cherry red Ferrari 812 Superfast. Jimmy ultimately opted for the Roadster. Nestling into the plush leather seats that enveloped his back, he lowered the top and drove off, leaving his luxurious Hollywood Hills estate behind. Cruising along the 101 freeway, he soon found himself passing through picturesque city of Santa Barbara. It was a beautiful day, 85 degrees with the sun shining brightly in the Southern California sky. He switched his Bluetooth to Beethoven's Violin Concerto, third movement, at a volume loud enough to be heard over the wind. Upon arriving in Paso Robles, he couldn't help but reminisce about the changes in the area since his family initially relocated. The early days were marked by strenuous labor from construction to cultivating and harvesting. The Vampiatis frequently organized lavish gatherings at the Paso Robles Hotel, attended by notable figures like Douglas Fairbanks, Clark Gable, Boris Karloff, and Teddy Roosevelt, who was one of the family's significant financial beneficiaries. Jimmy's introduction to Western American life left a lasting impression, as nothing had matched the elegance and sophistication of that era since. The landscape had undergone a significant transformation, particularly in terms of infrastructure. The once barren hills now showcased well-maintained vineyards, while the roads boasted state-of-the-art designs. The dusty dirt trails and memories of those who traversed them had vanished. In place of that desolate brown hills, thriving industries and communities now thrived. Paso remained connected to its agricultural roots despite its modern appearance, with farmlands encircling the quaint city. Jimmy exited the freeway and accelerated on the curvy back roads. Grapevines sped by as he pushed his roadster over 100. He continued up a long, gentle hill, finally arriving at a broad set of wood and metal gates. Fashioned from the wrought iron, a large V adorned the top, the same design as the one on the chain around his neck. The gates opened and he drove past several planters filled with flowers and succulents and through the olive trees lining the sides of the long private road. Jimmy pulled up to the front of the mansion. On the stone steps leading to the imposing double doors that sat an elderly man with pale skin. The man's pale complexion contrasted with the casual white suit and unbuttoned black shirt, giving him an intriguing appearance. Jimmy parked his car and turned off the engine, catching the man's steel blue eyes. Are you taking a break from your long, hard work day? Jimmy asked. Not yet. It's just my hemorrhoids. They feel better on the cold stone. Williamson was the estate manager who also took care of various additional responsibilities for the family. Jimmy's bond with him resembled that of a cheeky nephew and a confident, sardonic uncle. They eagerly anticipated their meetings, with Williamson patiently waiting at the entrance to catch a glimpse of the car Jimmy had chosen to drive. Jimmy smiled. Is everyone here yet? Of course, Williamson answered. No one will be late for this event, not even me. I've been caring for the guests' cars, those who drove. Jimmy gazed at the entrance door adorned with hammered bronze, featuring a variety of Roman figures depicted in different activities such as bathing, harvesting, eating, and battling. The naked men and women protruded from the greenish metal, creating an intricate motif that always engaged his imagination. Yes, all those crazy bastards in there, Jimmy said. He hesitated, contemplating the right timing for his entrance. But they're such a happy group, Williamson said mockingly. It's been quite some time since they were all together. Your father seemed to be having a great time. I believe he takes pleasure in observing them skulk around and beg for his attention. It's good for him, you know. I'm sure you're right, and you do know what's best for the old man. Jimmy nodded at Williamson's suit. What's with the white? It's an interesting choice. Brings out the highlight in your skin. Williamson smiled. I'm proud to carry on the long heritage of servants to the king. Thank God I don't have to live more than one lifetime with him. And thank you for the compliment. I try to dress myself in something other than the family black on occasion. Williamson stretched his long legs over the several steps that leaned back on his elbows. Jimmy returned the smile and patted the man's shoulder as he passed. When he arrived at the top of the steps, he turned and tossed his keys to Williamson, who caught them with perfect timing. Make sure it's full when you bring it back, and no door dings. Jimmy was well aware of Williamson's passion for embarking on adventurous drives across the scenic hillsides, meticulously assessing the performance and safety of his beloved cars. Moreover, Jimmy understood the immense satisfaction it brought his dear friend to ensure his own well-being was always safeguarded. I'll be in the library if you have some time later to catch up, Williamson said. I look forward to the therapy session. Jimmy entered the house and stood in the foyer, with winding staircases on either side leading to the second floor. A long hallway branched off at the base of each staircase, while a short arched hallway between them led to tall mahogany double doors. Approaching the doors, he pushed them open and stepped into a dimly lit hallway with arched nooks displaying lighted busts of long-haired, thin-faced individuals. At the end of the hall were two more identical doors to the ones he had just passed through. Ah, Dad, he paused and shook his head. You've always been one for the dramatic, that's for sure. As Jimmy reached the door, he gently grazed his fingertips along the rough wood. A rush of memory flooded his mind, heartfelt conversations, personal confessions, ambitious plans, and joyous celebrations. These emotions stirred within him just like they always did whenever he walked down this hallway. With a smile on his face, he tapped on one of the doors. As it swung open, he felt a sense of belonging. He was home.